Congressional investigators now want to speak with the men who oversaw the State Department's investigation of what went wrong before, during, and after the terrorist attack on the U.S. post in Benghazi, Libya. At congressional hearing, State Department officials testified they think the report is, quote, incomplete, and it let senior officials off the hook. And Ambassador Thomas Pickering is joining us right now. He was the co-chairman of the Benghazi Accountability Review Board. You reviewed the whole situation. Knowing, Mr. Ambassador, what you know now, what should you have done differently? What would you have done differently? What questions might you have raised that you didn't raise?
Wolf, it's a very interesting question. I hadn't thought about it from that perspective. What I've been hearing is the promises of new startling developments. What I have been seeing is some of the questions we had reviewed. I'm very open to the idea that nobody can do in 2 months the absolutely perfect job, that nothing new will arise. So far, I have, with all honesty, not seen any development related to the report and the mandated scope, which is in the law of that report, essentially the security focus of the report, that would cause me to change my view on the conclusions we reached or the recommendations we made.
Some of the biggest criticism you're getting from Darrell Issa and others is that you didn't grill Hillary Clinton, the Secretary of State. Why didn't you?
Very simply, we did not, because at the time we met with her to discuss the report, we felt we had fully developed the answer to the question of where the decisions were made, where the failures in performance had taken place, where those decisions were reviewed, and they did not touch on her.
But Gregory Hicks, in his testimony the other day before Congress, he said he was on the phone with her during that critical night. I'll play a little clip. This is what he said about his conversation with the Secretary of State.
I think at about 2 p.m., 2 a.m., sorry, the Secretary of State Clinton called me, along with her senior staff. We're all on the phone. And she asked me what was going on, and I briefed her on the developments. Most of the conversation was about the search for Ambassador Stevens. It was also about what we were going to do with our personnel in Benghazi. And I told her that we would need to evacuate. And that was she said that was the right thing to do.
Now, with hindsight, don't you think it would have been important to ask her about that conversation and other decisions she made that night? Because she was intimately involved.
We did. And we interviewed the senior staff members.
But why not her?
That Greg referred to, Wolf, and felt that everything that we saw was fully and competently taken care of. We didn't have a reason in any way at all to suggest there was anything that she might have known that was not already relayed to us. It was straightforward. We thought they did an excellent job the night of. There were many different pieces of testimony we put together with respect to that.
Because the criticism is you were trying to protect her.
Well, the criticism may be the criticism. We'll have to live with that. But the truth is that we didn't feel there was a need to do that on the basis of all the evidence we had accumulated to date.
And knowing what you know now, was that the right decision?
Yes, of course it was the right decision.
It's to avoid any serious questioning with the Secretary of State?
Well, if we had started down that line, where would it have ended?
Well, she says she takes responsibility. The buck stops with her.
That was very clear, and that she made it very clear. But the act was passed precisely to avoid that conundrum. The act was passed, and the debate on the act said, we don't want any more reports. It said that the Secretary of X, Y, and Z has taken full responsibility. It's all taken care of. We want reports to know where the decisions were made and who carried them out.
Because some of the recommendations you made resulted in career-ending decisions for 4 senior officials.
Certainly our decision and our recommendation was that they should leave, 2 of them leave the jobs in which they were engaged. Those were tough decisions, Wolf. It took us a long time to go through the evidence to find that decision.
Ambassador Thomas Pickering speaking with me earlier, not backing away from his conclusions and defending his decision not to question the Secretary of State about the Benghazi attack.